Good morning. How are you today? I'm Connie Fuksa with Foot Title Group, where we are very passionate about making sure that your home closing is the simple part. We keep you in the loop every step of the way. We make sure you understand everything that you're dealing with and signing, and we ensure that you and your home are protected when you walk away from that closing table with your keys to your new home. So today I wanted to talk for just a minute about house location surveys. I know this sounds kind of crazy and you may be thinking, what the heck? Why do we care about that? But when you go to buy a new home, this is something that's come up a lot recently in our office. And by the way, if you're tuning in, please check in and say hi so I can see who's actually listening. I would really appreciate that. That way I can say hey, and hey Kathy, how are you? I can say hey, and then we can also talk about maybe some questions that you have. So if you tune in, please check in with me. And if you're watching a replay, I'd really appreciate it if you check in as well so I can reach back out to you afterwards. Hi there. So today I'm talking about house location surveys for a minute because this is something that's come up a lot in our office recently. So I wanted to let you know that when it used to be that when you went to closing, the lender, again, they're the one who is loaning you a lot of money to buy a house, and they want to make sure that loan's always secure. So the lender used to require that you get at least a location survey so that they could make sure that the home that they're securing the mortgage against and the home that you're buying actually sits within the property lines of the property that you're purchasing. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but you'd be very surprised how often so many things will be revealed in a survey. For example, maybe the driveway that's used to get to your property or to your home is not even located on your property. We find that a lot. Maybe the shed that you have in the back of your property or the garage that's hooked to your home, yep, exactly, sheds all the time, fences all the time, that you think is within your property boundaries is actually not. It's actually on your neighbor's property. So we need to address those things because you don't want to have to go. Here's something that happened to us recently. So we did a closing for someone who, well, let me backtrack for a minute. I'm sorry, I got a little ahead of myself. So lenders used to require that you had a location survey so they could make sure that what they were securing was actually within the property boundaries. And things have changed. Making things more affordable for you, the home purchaser. Lenders have now decided not to require that anymore, and what they do is ask us to ensure that their property or the home is secure. And so we have the seller sign a certification that yes, they haven't made any changes to the property that would have required a survey to show that those improvements are over the property lines, and that the seller, as far as to the best of their knowledge, knows that there's no issues with any of the improvements on that property being over any of the property lines. And then we have the buyer sign a certification saying you know that you're not being required to have a location survey and you accept that. And we actually have to put an exception in your owner's title insurance now, since the lender doesn't require it and no survey is gotten, that says if something comes up with regard to the survey of the property, then your title insurance is not going to cover you. And the reason for that is because we have no way to know that there is or is not an issue that we need to address for that insurance for you to make sure that that property is secure. And you know, our mission is to make sure that you are protected as best as we possibly can. But if the lender doesn't require it and you don't want to pay usually about $250 for a location survey to make sure everything's okay, then we can't ensure that everything is okay as far as with what would be disclosed on a location survey. So what I started to explain a few minutes ago is we recently had a settlement that we did back in November, and the purchaser said, has come back to us now and said he went to put a fence up and he hired the fence company. And while the fence company was out there putting the fence up, the neighbor next door came up and said, hey, you're putting your fence on my property. And so the person that purchased through us said, well, you know, this is what we were told is the property lines. But this purchaser didn't get a new survey for the property when they purchased it. The lender didn't require it. And the seller said that they would give them their survey, but didn't give it to them at closing. So none of us had any way of knowing. Plus, if we don't order the survey and I'm not able to review it in advance, I have no way to check and make sure there's no problems. So it's not something we'd even be able to review at the closing table and be able to address for you at that point. It's something we need to do in advance. By the way, if you are on live with us, please check in so I can say hi. I'd really appreciate it. In this particular case, the seller didn't give them the survey. The buyer didn't want a survey. The lender didn't require a survey, so no survey was gotten. So we have an exception on the title policy. So what's happened is, in this particular neighborhood that's in Waldorf, when the builder actually developed the original neighborhood, the first section that they developed was the neighbor's property, and the property lines were drawn a certain way. The second section, which was the property that we did the settlement for, that was purchased, was drawn over those lines incorrectly. So what's happened is now we have two plats that actually overlap each other on those properties. So what really needs to happen is that builder needs to go back to the surveyor and re-record those plats. Good morning, Wendy. Thanks for checking in. So what's happened is we need to go back to that builder and say, you need to re-record these plats. The problem is that this purchaser is now out quite a bit of money because the fence company has been doing all of this work, and he can't get his fence put up where he needs to get it put up, or where he thinks it should be put up, and he's looking for the title insurance to cover him, and unfortunately they can't. Good morning. So I'm talking about this today because I really feel very strongly about the fact that you need to get a location survey when you purchase a home. I know that lenders don't require it. I know that it's an expense that maybe you're not prepared for, but the bigger expense could be if someone, let's say for example, your driveway is not located within your property lines and doesn't abut a county road. If your neighbor, who you happen to get along with really great right now, sells that property to someone else, or you have a big falling out and you no longer can use that piece of his property, they can block off your driveway, and you don't even know that because you don't own that piece. So what I want to do is implore you to please think hard about spending the little bit of money it takes to make sure that everything you're buying is located on that property that you're purchasing. I know it's an extra expense, and I know that you might not be prepared for it at closing, and I know that the lender doesn't require it, so why would you need it? But it can become a very big problem if you go to add something later. Or let's say, for example, in Kathy's scenario, and she's asking about sheds, that the shed that you have your lawn tractor and your snow blower, let's hope we don't have to use those anymore, but all of these big pieces of equipment that you have in there, and you have nowhere else to store them, and you either have a falling out with your neighbor, or someone else buys your neighbor's home that you don't really get along with, and they either ask you or require you to move that shed or take it down because it's partly on their property. What are you going to do? And you didn't even know that was a problem because you didn't get a survey. So I'm just reaching out today to try to give you some information that we see. This is the third instance very recently that we've had with customers or people that have settled with us that are asking questions about the survey because they're having concerns with their neighbors. So hope you guys are having a wonderful day, and please, please, please reach out to me with questions or things that you come up with that you don't understand. I don't always know the answers, but I will certainly do my best to find those answers. But I've been doing this for a long time, so I've had a lot of different experiences, and I'd love to share those with you. So again, my name is Connie Fuksa. I own Foot Title Group, where we make sure that your home closing is the simple part of the process. And I ask you to check out our website with lots of good resources. We have a Homebuyers guide on there. We're working on a Homesellers guide. We also have a package of sample documents. If you're looking to buy a home, you can actually look at the 50 most common documents that you may have to sign at closing so that you can read through them if you want to in advance. That's all on our website. Costs are on our website, recording information, all kinds of resources that may help you. And our blog has a lot of follow-up from things we've talked about in the past. So hope you're having a great day. Good morning, Helen. Thanks for checking in. I hope you're having a great day, and please let me know if there's anything we can help you with at all, because we like to keep you in the know zone with Foot Title Group. Get in the know, because your home closing should be the simple part. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.